what is our expectation from the industry. We expect a bit of nationalism and patriotism in your profit-driven endeavors. I'm given to understand, actually, the army was telling me that they've been scouting around for 5th and 6th EP procurements. Most of the people have overpromised things and they fail to deliver in that time frame. Now, this is unacceptable. Defense reforms is not a one-way street. Industry will have to be truthful about their capabilities to us. You can't leave us in a lurch. You sign a contract and you don't deliver at that particular time, it's a capability that is being lost. You have to be truthful about your indigenous capabilities. There could be security related issues. A lot of industries say, okay, this is 70% indigenous, but actually if you find out, it is not. So you have to be truthful in this, because it is related to its questioning matters of security. You will have to be cost competitive. Cost competitive is not for selling to the Indian Armed Forces. You have to be cost competitive so that you can compete in the foreign market. You can't have products which are overpriced. For today's brainstorming session, actually you need to thank Mr. Bhatia and Mr. K. Ramesh. It is because of their persistence, perseverance, initiative and constant pecking on me that we are here again today. We also should be thanking CISC and Makati for getting everyone together for this particular brainstorming session. Like Mr. Bhatia said, the previous brainstorming session was held in March 2024, and we had witnessed some constructive suggestions as well as some scathing criticism also. Well, we've taken those criticisms and constructive suggestions all in a stride, and we've taken this whole process forward. Some of it was alluded to by Mr. Bhatia. Today's brainstorming session 2.0 is about Atmanirbharta in defense, leveraging defense industry ecosystem for future warfare. Most of the armed forces, actually, whenever they fight a war, they look at the lessons they have learned from that war. Then they try to incorporate those lessons into that system. So what they're doing is actually preparing to fight the previous war, the war which is already over. And there's no war which repeats itself. It's a different war you got to prepare yourself. In the Indian Armed Forces, now we are actually trying to fight a future kind of a warfare. And I've been saying that to win future wars, you'll have to fight with tomorrow's technology today. Having said that, I must also confess that predicting future is perilous, to say the least, is rather difficult. And war is an enterprise which is riddled with uncertainties. And to accurately predict the outcome of even a smallest of conflict or a duel or combat is rather difficult. It's more so because profession of arm is slightly different from other professions. If in other professions, if there's a lawyer, he's practicing every day, he goes to the court. If there's a surgeon, he's practicing surgery. If there's an architect, he's practicing every day, so does an engineer. Soldiers don't fight every day. What do? They're all supposed to think, contemplate as to how warfare will unfold in the future, how they got to equip themselves, how they got to train themselves. So in some manner, we had done this, and this is very important. We have to get it right, actually, because when the time comes, we have to do it all correctly. Because as we have been saying, that they will run us up in war, and we have to get it right. So that thought process has to be right, our equipping has to be right, our organizations have to be right, our doctrines have to be right for that war. We don't practice it every day. We may train ourselves, and we may wargame these things. So what are we been doing about it? You must have heard. We've done this future warfare courses, number of them, 2-3 of them, and in this we have tried to involve the academia so that you people also understand how are we thinking, how we're going to fight in future. Recently we had done a Ran Samvad, a seminar on war and warfare, commentaries on war and warfare in Mao, in which again we have invited the industry, we had invited the academia to be part of our thought process. We are planning to use a number of policies, written policies, on a number of initiatives like emerging kind of technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. A technology perspective roadmap has already been issued. We have revised a number of our warfighting doctrines, whether it is space, cyber, multi-domain operations, amphibious operations, special forces, airborne operations, to give you an insight as to how we want to fight, the doctrinal part. A number of structural changes in our organizations are on the anvil to prepare ourselves for multi-domain operations. And you must have often heard in the media, Army Chief actually talking about Ashni platoons, Agniban regiments, and such kind of organizations. This is in addition to IBGs, which you had earlier, which we are again trying to resurrect that particular concept. And we are also laying a foundation to move from what I say is net-centric warfare to data-centric kind of warfare. That roadmap for that, for the services, has been laid down along with responsibilities. All this, what I just said, is part of this vision of Viksit Bharat. That means by 2047, we should be a developed nation. We all know a developed nation also must have a strong industrial base, and especially a defense infrastructure, manufacturing infrastructure has to be strong. Then only can this nation be strong and secure, Shashakt and Surakshit. So the defense of India and its long-term security is predicated on a strong military backed by sound defense industrial base. We have to achieve major milestones. We already have achieved major milestones, some of it Mr. Rajendra Bhatia said, but we need to do more, and that's why we are here today for this brainstorming session 2.0. Today, before I start any further, maybe some kind of a fact check or some kind of a data I may give you as to where do we stand in this. Today we have more than 430 licensed defense manufacturers backed by almost 16,000 MSMEs. India's defense production was 1.5 lakh crores in 2025, which was up by 18% from what it was in 22-23. The target for defense production is 3 lakh crores by 29-30. This annual growth in defense production is approximately 11 to 12%. Out of the 193 contracts awarded in 24-25, 117 contracts amounting to almost 92% have been awarded to domestic industries, which is almost about 1,068,000 crores. 75% of our capital budget has been reserved for domestic industry. That would amount to 6 to 8 lakh crores in the next 5 years. That's the amount of money which we'll put inside. Contribution of private sector gradually has increased and it's almost now about 23%, and DPSUs and government factories contributing about 77%. In this, MSMEs were awarded 28 contracts last year, which indicates a fair inclusion of MSMEs apart from the big industries. Under the IDEX scheme in 2018, which we launched in 2018, 556 problem statements were laid out, and out of which 497 contracts have been concluded so far. MOD has listed more than 47,000 products on its region portal, and with value more than about 1 lakh crores. Defense forces have registered 50 patents, out of which 7 had been commercialized. Services together have indigenized more than 1 lakh items so far. So that's the journey actually for the past, say, 8 or 10 years. And now I'll try and talk about what had happened in brainstorming session 1.0 and try and give you as to where we are on that particular account. No, before that, I must tell you the emergency procurement which is going on for 5 and 6 post-Sindoor. It's almost about 30,000 crores, of which 65% contracts have been given to the Indian industry. That's from the capital side. And on the revenue side, out of 16,117 crores, 56% have gone again to the private or the defense industry, indigenous defense industry. So you see that armed forces commitment towards making India self-Atmanirbhar and self-reliance. As far as the brainstorming session is concerned, let's reflect a little bit on last year's some decisions and the progress on that. So there was one point that there is a need to increase the defense R&D budget to almost about 2.5%. Well, that really hasn't happened, but there are a number of other initiatives which have been taken. So the government has launched a research, development and innovation RDI scheme with almost a corpus of 1 lakh crore. the DRDO's budget has seen, R&D budget has seen almost a 12.4% increase to almost about 26,800 crores. A sanction of additional grant of 500 crores for deep technology and cutting edge research products under the TDF scheme has been sanctioned. And Aditi scheme has enhanced its limits to about 25 crores. So we have made some progress, not exactly 2.5% on R&D as per the GDP is concerned. Another point was that there should be some kind of a procedural clarity on allocation of R&D budget to the industry. So in this, I think the DRDO has already come up with a SOP based on which the industry seeking R&D funds are scrutinized and allocated in a transparent kind of process. Further deliberation will be done into this particular session. Fourth, one more point was to provide a level playing field to the domestic and private industry compared to Indian DPSUs and OEMs, foreign OEMs. So large number of these initiatives have now been incorporated in the DPM 2025, which has been released recently. Just give a few examples of it. The NOCs from DPSUs prior to engaging in open competitive procurement, that has been dispensed with. So that should be a good news for all of you. Relaxed development contract norms have been enunciated. Assured order guarantees to up to 5 years for domestic vendors are there. Decentralized financial powers and relaxed liquidity damages instructions are there as part of this. There was one more suggestion that they need to include a clause for advance payments under revenue procurements under the DPM. DPM 2025 incorporates provisions for supporting finance options. There was yet one more initiative regarding MSME specific eligibility, turnover or experience criteria for procurements that has to be built into tenders. In this, recommendations are being considered in the DAP revision, and self-certification of TRL levels of MSMEs startups is also being considered. One more suggestion which Mr. Bhatia had referred to, that one was about competency mapping, that we should all know as to what we are doing in India. So that particular thing has been done, and that competency mapping software has been developed, and probably we'll be releasing it today during this brainstorming session. I briefly mentioned some of the reforms which we have done as far as DPM 2025 is concerned, which were related to what points were raised during the brainstorming session. But there are some more initiatives which are part of this DPM. Maybe I'll just touch upon a few of them. So there is the introduction of a 15% growth provision in repair/refit contracts, allowing up to 15% extra scope for unseen maintenance works on aerial and naval platforms. So limited tendering has been permitted for highly specialized goods up to 50 lakhs. And in special cases beyond this threshold, improving procurement speed, at least in niche products. Proprietary article certificate provisions have been revised, with validity revised to 2 years, and parallel market exploration that make it mandatory to identify alternate sources. Enhanced delegation of financial powers to field and lower formations. CFAs can now grant delivery extensions and make quicker decisions at their level. So all this is part of and a separate chapter has been added on Atmanirbharta, and innovation has been added to lay emphasis on promoting self-reliance and encouraging joint participation of services, DPSUs, industry, startups and MSMEs. So that's the kind of thing which we have done on our part. But what is our expectation from the industry? We expect a bit of nationalism and patriotism in your profit-driven endeavors. I'm given to understand, actually, the army was telling me that they were scouting around for 5th and 6th EP procurements. Most of the people have overpromised things and they fail to deliver in that time frame. Now, this is unacceptable. Defense reforms is not a one-way street. Industry will have to be truthful about their capabilities to us. You can't leave us in a lurch. You sign a contract and you don't deliver at that particular time. It's a capability that is being lost. You have to be truthful about your indigenous capabilities. There could be security related issues. A lot of industries say, okay, this is 70% indigenous. But actually, if you find out, it is not. So you have to be truthful in this, because it is related to its questioning matters of security. You will have to be cost competitive. Cost competitive not for selling to the Indian armed forces. You have to be cost competitive so that you can compete in the foreign market. You can't have products which are overpriced, and you'll have to deliver things on time. Today's Ops Sindoor was mentioned. Today's this brainstorming session is being held in the backdrop of Ops Sindoor. Ops Sindoor, like Bhatia said, that it's validated a number of India's products and weapon systems, and their performance also has contributed to the success of this particular mission. You all know that I've been saying time and again that this was a different kind of war, different kind of operation, maybe short, but gives you glimpses as to what lies in future. That's for the industry to take lessons from it. So it's kind of a non-contact warfare in which kinetic and non-kinetic was mixed. It was multi-domain, it was networked, digitized, and also intelligent. Again, post Sindoor, we've done a couple of exercises for EW and drones, and it's not that we have done this exercise alone. We have done it with help of DPSUs and private industry also. So that because we understand the correlation between industry and fighting a war, because it's not only prior to fighting a war that we need to develop our capabilities, but during a war we may have to tweak some kind of a changes in the equipment which we hold, especially electronic warfare, drones, such kind of equipment. So we did incorporate the industry into these exercises. To conclude, I urge every participant to contribute insights with openness and constructive intent. Constructive criticism, even if it's there, is most welcome. The true force multiplier lies in synergy between the services, DRDO, academia, and the industry. Let this session become the forge where bold ideas take shape and enduring solutions are arrived at. Let's resolve that the outcome from brainstorming session 2.0 will result in clear, doable action points that will accelerate Indianization. This is an absolute essential in the current geopolitical environment, and I'm sure you must understand, you will be understanding as to what I'm referring to. I wish you a day of dynamic discussion, meaningful collaboration, and impactful